Hi, I'm Calista.
And I'm Allison, and welcome back to I Don't Want to Talk About Politics, a podcast where we discuss the issues you don't want to talk about around the Thanksgiving dinner table. Calista, I feel very at a loss this week because I forgot to write myself an intro, and all I have is one word that says welcome, and I feel so at loss right now.
Well, welcome everyone.
Well, that's apparently the only thing I had to say this week. Let me think. Oh, well, I just got back from a 4-day trip to Washington. I left Saturday after I got off work at 8, and then I drove up to Portland, and I picked up my friend from school because she goes to PSU, and then the two of us drove to Seattle, and it was quite fun. The nice thing about driving so late at night is that we kind of didn't have to hit the traffic, especially on the way up to Portland. I would have had to hit traffic in Wilsonville. In Wilsonville, traffic is so bad. But it was really fun. We, the first night we got there really late, so we just we both crashed. And the next day we got up, we went to the Museum of Pop Culture, and it was pretty cool. My friend Aria loves Brandy Carlisle, and they had her guitar there, and Brandy Carlisle is a Seattle native. And so I sent her a picture of that, and the Jimi Hendrix area was really fun. The indie gaming room was actually really cool, and I found a game that I really liked in there, and I'm trying to convince my boyfriend to buy it for me now because it's very fun. But I also spent $16 on it. It was so depressing, though. Basically, you're this dude, and you live alone on a farm, and your only access to the outside world is that once a week, what's it called? Once a week, a little messenger comes, and he delivers you a letter, just, like, letting you know, like, all the sad things that are going on in the world, and, like, your only job is the farm.
This sounds a little too much like a dream I had, except there was two of us involved. Well, actually, there was two of us and two kids, but you know.
And it took place in Nebraska?
Yeah.
Well, this also took place in a fictional state, so...
Well, it still sounds a little too similar to my dream.
It was quite depressing, Calista, but I was like, I love this game, and I got to milk goats, and it was really fun. There was also a gun, and I don't know what the gun was for, but I really want to figure out what the gun was for.
Well, did he need food?
Well, we had chickens, and there was goats. And so I could feed the chickens, and I could collect their eggs, and the goats I could collect the milk from, and then I would take the milk to the storage place, and I would boil the milk. But I'm not sure what I was boiling it for. Do you boil milk to make cheese?
I think so. I don't know. I've never made cheese. But
I've made butter.
Yeah.
I've never made cheese, though.
We made yogurt once, but I don't remember how we made it. I do believe it involved boiling the milk, though. And then you dehydrate it.
And then after that...
dehydrator.
But after the Pop Culture Museum, we went to the normal things the normal tourist things you do in Seattle. You go to Pike's Place, and you see them throw the fish. I saw the gum for the first time. It was so gross.
I've never actually been, and I have no desire to go.
We're not missing out on anything. Just like we stepped in and we were like, this is kind of gross. We're gonna take a picture real quick, and then we're gonna leave.
Yeah.
I also happen to know 6 people I went to high school with were in Seattle that weekend.
Interesting.
6 separate people reached out to me and said, hey, I'm in Seattle this weekend by chance as well. One of them
odd.
One of them was at the gum wall 5 minutes after we left, too. It was so it was odd. I was like, this is so weird. And then we went back home that night. For one, let me tell you something, Calista. I was not meant to live in a city where you had to walk uphill that much. It was my knees hurt so bad after that day. We went back to the room, and I just like collapsed on the bed, and then Jordan took like a 4-hour nap. She goes, I'm gonna do homework, but real quick, I'm gonna take a nap. I was like, okay. And then she woke up 4 hours later, and I was just like sitting on the couch, like typing away, and I had no internet access, and so I was just forced to work on my like downloaded documents, which is fine because I worked a lot on some of the stories I needed to get done. But I was like, really not giving me access to Wi-Fi, and the only thing I can do is watch Vanderpump Rules and work on stories that I've had writer's block on for like 2 months. Really helped me because I wrote like 10 pages in 4 hours. I was really proud of myself. I watched Sleepless in Seattle, which was my first time watching it. It's very cute. Calista, have you seen it? I think you would love it.
No.
I think you would love it. It's so cute. Tom Hanks, like a young Tom Hanks. I'm finding myself quite attracted to him. He's very cute. And then the next day, we went over to Bainbridge Island, which totally reminds me of like Newport stuff. Very, rich vacation city. We looked at books. We had gelato.
Ooh, delicious.
What?
I said, ooh, delicious.
And then on the ferry, we were getting on the ferry back, and in front of line, Allison, if you want to know one thing about Allison, is that no matter where I am, I will always, without a doubt, eavesdrop on any and every conversation I can get my ears on. Calista knows this. We'll be mid-conversation, and I'll be like, the people next to us are discussing their entire life story right now.
The people in the elevator that gave us the whole entire story in the about 5-second elevator ride.
These people, let me tell you something. If you're going to tell a story in an elevator to the person you're standing next to, tell it like this. This girl told us all the facts that we needed to know, broke it down to the basic level. We had a beginning, a middle, and an end. We had a rising arc. We had a finale. We had everything that we needed. In the 5-second elevator ride. It was so good. I was so proud of her.
I was like, we literally went from the second floor to the first floor. It wasn't even like we were in the elevator going up to my room, so it was like 6 floors. This was literally 1 floor.
Such a good story. I want to find that girl one day and truly say thank you to her. That was eavesdropping. And I was like, I had my little ear, Jordan's talking, and I'm like eavesdropping. And then I hear, and they're like, yeah, we weren't going to go to the game tonight. And then you found some pretty cheap tickets. I was like, game? And I looked over and like a whole bunch of people around us were wearing Mariners gear. I was like, game. And so I was just like, cheap tickets, let me look. And I looked them up, and it happened to be like a value day. And so we found tickets for $10. So we got on the ferry. We sprinted back to our hotel room. We changed real quick, and then we got in my car and then drove over and like found parking real quick, and then sprinted from the parking to the stadium and watched a Mariners game, like super spontaneous. And then Tuesday, which was the day that we were actually there for, Jordan and I went and saw Stars on Ice for the second year in a row. It was good. I cried about 90% of the time. Nathan shed my heart and soul. I love him. I'm so in love with him. And the two girls next to us were very funny. They were a little bit tipsy, and they were just like absolutely in love with Jason Brown, because Jason Brown, one of his like signature tricks is that he can do a toe touch like mid skating, which is super cool. They were losing their minds. It was so funny. But last year we sat in front of this lady, and she was like a little bit older. I would say she's in like her 70s, and she was with her husband. Husband did not want to be there. Her biggest Jason Brown fan I've ever heard in my entire life. I had like some clue who Jason Brown was beforehand, but he wasn't like my favorite skater like Nathan Chen was. But the entire time, anytime he did something, she'd be behind us, and she'd be like, Jason Brown is just the most fantastic, just the most beautiful performer of all time, just incredible. Look at that smile. Look at that smile. Anything he did. It was so funny. She was their heart and soul in the fact that she wasn't there. The fact that they only had performances in Seattle and nothing in Portland this year made me so sad just because I wanted her to go. Jordan and I were literally like, let's pour one out to this lady because we miss her. And his routine this year was so good. His first routine, he somehow did hip hop on ice, and he did the Backstreet Boys.
Okay.
Such an uncle. It was so good. And then the second routine was like this beautiful lyrical routine. It was so great. But my favorite thing the entire time is the entire group did a James Bond routine. It was so good, and I also was crying during it. Okay. That was my... And at the end of the day, Jordan and I, about Monday mid sleepless in Seattle, literally turned to each other and go, isn't it, I don't know about you, but I literally feel like I could live here. And I was like, no, seriously, I feel like I could live here. Okay. I'm letting you know something. Seattle is like a less dirty version of Portland, which I know is a super low standard. But having been to like the 3 out of the 4 like kind of most infamous cities on the West Coast, which is like Los Angeles, Portland, and Seattle, and San Francisco, I would say that right now Seattle's sitting at number 1. And I just refuse to step foot in Los Angeles. And like now, Calista, I feel like, I took all forms of public transportation. I went around. I ate at a very nice Chinese restaurant, had some traditional soup dumplings. I went to a Mariners game. I feel like I could be a Washingtonian. I could come join you in your neck of the woods.
My neck of the woods is not Seattle. I disown Seattle.
I actually, Monday, literally, Jordan were like, we could just go drive and see Calista. I'm like, if we were going to drive and see Calista, we would have wanted to get up about 15 hours ago.
Yeah.
And I think you were working Monday.
I was working from 12 to 8 on Monday.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if we'd started then, we would have gotten there in time. But then we would have been there about 10 minutes and then turned around. We knew we wanted to go to Seattle Monday, but we weren't sure where to go. We ended up going to Bainbridge, which I didn't regret because it was actually really fun there. Anyways, Calista, how was your week?
I've had better weeks.
You were like falling apart over there.
Yeah. Been sick. My car sounds like a lawnmower. It goes in Tuesday, so that's fun.
What? Would you be a deer and recreate your sound for the podcast?
Unfortunately, I don't exactly know how it sounds because that was like Friday when it was making sounds, and then so a week ago. But I like got to work and I called my dad and I was like, my car sounds like a lawnmower, and I know that's not what it's supposed to sound like, so something's wrong. He's like, I'm at work, I can't come do anything. I was like, well, I got something for you. I work until 8 o'clock. You have plenty of time.
Mm-hmm.
You have 7.5 hours to come check out my car.
My car currently has 15 miles in it, and I don't want to get gas in Independence because it's more expensive in Independence and it's less expensive in Salem, and it is 9 miles into Salem just to get into Salem, and I think it's another 2 miles to the gas station, so I'm really gonna push it. Just
roll right on it. Don't stop. If the light's red, just continue going.
The thing is, it's uphill. I can't roll it.
That's a problem. I mean, somebody ran a red light and almost turned into my sister and I the other day. That was fun. And then, let's see, what else? I just worked, taught some swim lessons. What?
Can't you just fix your car?
I can't fix my car. No.
You can change your oil.
I can check my oil.
But I saw you pour it in.
Well, because I added oil. I didn't change the oil. Because if I changed the oil, I would have had to go under the car and unscrew something and let the oil go into an oil pan and then put all new oil in. As for, I just put oil on top of the old oil because my car was low on oil. But now it's something wrong with the power steering, which means I would have to take like the tire off and take a whole bunch of things apart. And I definitely can't do that. And my dad goes, he could have probably did it, but it was just going to be easier and faster if we took it in. So it goes in Tuesday morning. So I've been driving my mom's car, and sometimes I forget that I don't have to push the gas pedal as hard as my gas pedal. And I'll be like turning and then like going to like get up to speed. And I'm like, oh, I'm up to speed already. I went about 5 feet.
No, that's how I feel in Nat's car because my car really does not like me using the brakes. It feels that brakes need to have like an anvil dropped on them in order for me to come to a complete stop. Brakes are so touchy that I feel like I like accidentally like slam on the brakes all the time in his car.
Yeah. I'm like, I just like press the button. I'm like, oh, whoops. And then like, what did I do? Oh, it's a push start. And the other day I hopped out. It was like here, and I like grabbed the keys, and my sister goes, "You do have to turn the car off," because the keys were in my pocket, and my brain wasn't thinking. I was like, I know that.
Push start so odd.
Yeah. And then today, what did I do? I was at our property for like 4 hours.
I just noticed you probably got a little sun there because you're a little crispy on your face.
I was sitting in the shade for the most part, so this side is all red or my right side of the face is all red because of the mosquito bite that's right next to my eye. And I'm very allergic to mosquitoes, so we shall see how my face is in the morning. This is going to be fun.
Okay. Do you ever watch pimple popping videos?
No, they gross me out. But my sisters do.
I love popping videos, and I love when I hate bug bites, but when you get the bug bite and you like scratch the little cap off of it and it like oozes out, it's so good.
That's so gross.
So it like oozes out a little bit.
Yeah, you're not making it sound any better.
It's like
the oozing is what I don't like.
You don't like the yellow pus that comes out, that oozes out of
No.
cringing so hard right now.
No. So disgusting. Or like when they randomly have like black stuff in them, and I'm like, why? My sister likes to send me really gross pimples and like warts and stuff, and I'm like, why?
I don't like warts, but my favorite ones are ingrown hairs.
You're so disgusting.
I love ingrown hair.
You're so disgusting.
No. They're so satisfying when they take the tweezers and they like pull, especially the really long, like curly ones, when they like pull them out.
It's so gross. I did not need that.
Shall we quit our rambling and get on to the top news story of this week?
We should.
This isn't even like a proper news story.
No, not really.
Ronald McDonald DeSantis is running for 2024 president.
Okay. Don't know why you worded it that way, but
I don't know why I worded it that way.
When you said Ronald, I thought you were going to start talking about Ronald Reagan for a second, and I was so confused because I was like, when was he involved in our news story? I don't remember going over this. I mean, if Grace was here, it would be John F. Kennedy.
Mm-hmm.
She did ask if she could be on an episode, but she only wants to be on an episode if it's about John F. Kennedy. I was like, well,
If she can figure out a way that we can talk about current events and also John F. Kennedy, she could be on an episode. I need her to pitch an episode to me about John F. Kennedy.
yeah.
And
I was like,
and if she can tell me a fact about John F. Kennedy that isn't related to how he died.
yeah. I was like, we don't care if you're on an episode. Just maybe not about John F. Kennedy. She's like, well, that's all I want to do it on. I was like, okay, well then, guess you won't be on an episode. Ow. I just moved my neck, and from my bug bite, it shot. I don't know, venom or what. Oh, but my neck just went numb. You got to gross me out with pimple popping, so I'm gonna gross you out with my bug bite.
Maybe you could take like a hot needle and like poke it and like
Except that there's like just a little red spot, but no.
It just appeared on you. Calista? Where are you going?
I went to look out the window because I was trying to figure out why the light just went off.
Okay, I thought the Lord had come because a spotlight appears on you and then you get up without saying anything and walk in that direction.
Yeah. No, the motion sensor light just went off, but there's nothing outside.
That's so scary.
It's just like, okay.
You're not scared right now? I would be.
No. There's probably a moth or something, because that has happened, where a moth lands on the sensor and sets it off.
Ronald McDonald Santos is running for president.
I just don't know. I don't know anymore.
Just look, that's his middle name until someone proves to me it's not his middle name.
I don't even think M is his middle initial. What?
If it's McDonald, I'm gonna die.
I don't think it is. I doubt that.
It's actually Burger King.
Burger King.
Ronald Wendy's DeSantis with the apostrophe S.
It is
Taco Bell.
Dion.
Theo?
Dion? 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 D-I-O-N.
Dion?
Dion.
What do you think Celine Dion's name is? Do you look at that and go Celine Dion?
I don't think I've ever I don't know. I'm very tired. I'm losing vision in my one eye because the mosquito bite is swelling next to my eye. So remember, like the Earth Day episode when we were like, maybe we need to stop recording so late. It's not even that late, but this is much like the Earth Day episode where we kept going off track.
Ron DeSantis is running for president.
There we go. We did it.
If you didn't get it first 3 times, Ron DeSantis is running for president. If he gets the Republican nomination, I'll vote for him, but he is not my nomination for the Republican nomination.
Yeah, I think he should have. I don't know. I like him and I like him as a governor, but I don't know how I feel about him as a president. Or I think he should have waited until the next presidential election.
Okay. So instead of news this week, we are also talking about who else is running. So, first of all, obviously, we heard about this. Donald Trump is running for re-election. No, I don't want to hear about DeSantis. I want to hear about Trump. This article is malfunctioning on me. Hold on a second. So,
Well, that's a personal problem.
Donald Trump is running for. Okay, Nikki, wait your turn. There we go. Donald Trump. I swear on my life. I swear. I'm gonna punch someone in the mouth. Okay, one moment. Let me open the article.
Okay.
My goodness. It really okay.
Okay. Between like they all kind of take a position on abortion or don't take a position on abortion, but didn't that go to the states so the presidents don't have
I was
like
gonna say I was gonna say this. Why are the Republicans all running on abortion stuff?
yeah.
Stop running on abortion stuff. Run on border control and drug crisis, and you're gonna get people to vote for you.
Yeah. I'm like obviously I care about the unborn, but I'm like it went back to the states and this is going to cause issues when it comes to voting because people are immediately going to go, well, what it went back to the state.
Why
The
would they
president can't vote on that unless apparently if you're Biden you can bring things up about abortion and you're going to somehow change laws.
why not run on the on like financial, like why not run on the economy, on like fixing the economy? Like that's what Trump should be doing. Because at least like we'll say what you want about Trump, but at least when like at least gas was cheaper.
A lot cheaper.
A lot cheaper. Gas, at least
I didn't have to sell an arm and a leg in order to buy a tank of gas.
I don't have to risk running out of gas on the way into Salem in order to buy a tank of gas. So Trump is running on supporting legislation that represents a record investment in police and increases vital liability protections for American law enforcement officers. He was also going to pardon a large portion of the people convicted of federal offenses for their participation in their January 6, 2021 attack on the U.S. Capitol.
On that one,
Mhm.
I don't think that should be a running point.
No,
You can do that, but that should not have been what he's like running with.
That's something that he should do at the State of the Union.
Yeah.
That's a great place to do that. That's a great thing. That's a great thing to do the moment you step into office. If that was the first thing he did when he got into office, it's a great idea. Like DeSantis, when he says he starts this declaring a state of emergency, I feel like that's the first thing he's gonna do. He is signing in an executive order instructing federal agencies to seize all programs that promote the concept of sex and gender transition at any age and punish doctors who provide gender affirming care to minors. I think that's going to be his first thing that he does. Is sign an order and get something done on abortion. Has declined to specify how many weeks into pregnancy he supports a ban. He said federal ban would need to include exceptions for rape, incest, and life of the mother. You can't do that anymore though. Anywho, moving on to Nikki Haley, who is the former ambassador to the United Nations. She's a little bit younger. She's 51. She's from South Carolina. And so she was a U.S. ambassador to the United Nations in 2017 to 2018, and the governor of South Carolina from 2011 to 2017. And she has a bachelor's from Clemson University. Just thought that was interesting because almost everyone else on this list has she has a bachelor's of arts, but almost everyone else on this list has a law degree and or a bachelor's of science. Because Trump has a bachelor's of science, and there's one more person who has a bachelor's of science, but everyone else has like a master's or a law degree. She's the only one with a bachelor's of arts. So Nikki Haley is going to find national consensus on abortion and has declined to specify how many weeks into pregnancy she would support a ban. As a governor of South Carolina, she signed into a law a ban at 20 weeks with no exceptions for rape or incest, which I think there's only one other person who had one without any exceptions, and I think that's DeSantis. No, DeSantis has
No,
exceptions. There was someone else
I
one
think
with.
it's South Carolina. Or not
Well,
South Carolina, South Dakota.
I think so too. She's going to restart the Trump era Remain in Mexico policy for asylum seekers and mandate a national e-verify program for businesses to prevent the hiring of immigrants in the country illegally, and the sanctuary cities and hire more border patrol and ICE agents. I'm kind of liking her. I like. Also, she's like wearing this like cute red dress, and I love the sleeves.
Mm-hmm.
And she declared that she was running on Valentine's Day. Nikki, you're getting my support right now. And she supports term limits for the members of Congress and a mandatory mental competency test for politicians over 75 years old. That's funny, but don't run on that. That's really funny, but do not run on that.
That's another thing that like you can put in after the fact,
But we
but
need to.
don't run on.
That's really funny, though. Vivek Ramaswamy.
I don't know. I can't offer assistance on how to pronounce his name because I can't even pronounce simple names.
Ramaswamy. Okay, one moment. Let me do it right now. Vivek Ramaswamy thing says entrepreneur, which I feel like whenever I see someone who says that their thing is entrepreneur, he either owns like a multi-level marketing company or he's a spoiled little rich boy.
Who just got a business degree and nothing else.
Who got a business degree and nothing else.
Who got a business degree from Grand Canyon
Mhm.
because they all are like, yes, I'm this such a great person.
Specifically, business with an emphasis in entrepreneurship.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So,
Oh, this guy is really young.
yes, he is 37 years old. He is from Cincinnati, Ohio. He currently lives in Columbus, Ohio. And he has no offices hold, no previous campaigns. Like I said, he's either owns a multi-level marketing company or is a little rich boy. And he went to Harvard University and where he got a bachelor's in arts, probably in pre-law or business. And
I was like, entrepreneurial studies.
and he has a law degree from Yale University. So he actually switched up what DeSantis did, which is interesting because DeSantis went to Harvard and then got his law degree from Yale.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I think I switched that. Never mind. DeSantis got his law degree from Harvard and then went to Yale. Anyways, Vivek Ramaswamy is increasing voting age to 25. Voters under 25 can vote by completing a national service requirement or passing a civics test. I do not agree with that.
No. I mean, like,
No. I do not agree.
no, I don't think for voting, but people should have to pass the civics test because there's some people that don't know anything about our country.
I don't agree with that. That like I know like that's too much going back to our founders being like there's only some that like trying to dissuade different people from voting and like I know that's what our country was founded on. But I just don't agree with the civics test thing. Like I don't agree with that because it is like it's just not a part of our school's curriculum. Like some schools do it, and I think that if he's gonna do that, then he should be campaigning on that he's fixing our school on school systems.
Yeah.
I don't, and also the age thing, I don't agree. Why 25?
Well, because technically 25 is when they say your brain is like fully developed,
Oh,
but
no,
like that just seems like odd.
Mm-hmm. And then people are gonna go, well, I can sign up for the military, but I can't vote. I can legally drink, but I can't vote. I can legally rent a car, but I can't vote. We're paying just as much, and you're paying you're still paying taxes when you're like 18.
Yeah. And
Mhm,
in some states, you can legally change your gender,
mhm.
but you apparently can't vote.
Yeah, I don't agree with that. That was funny. Mhm. Yes, he wants to shut down the Department of Education, the FBI, and the IRS.
And rebuild from scratch
And
when required.
when required.
I'm so
It does sound like a business major from GCU.
his never holding a political office is starting to show.
Ban his banned gender confusion care for minors and pardon defendants of politicized prosecutions, including Trump and peaceful January 6th protesters. I so the debate
The,
is
the only thing I agree with the only thing I like really agree with is like banning the gender um
confusion.
transitioning for minors.
Um,
But like his other stuff, I'm like uh,
I am so excited to see him get debated against now because the Republican debate is in August, and I'm
uh-huh.
so excited to watch it now.
Yeah. I just feel like he's some of those things are kind of ridiculous, but he's also very ambitious. Like he's like, yes, in 4 years I'm gonna get rid
Shut
of all these
down
things.
the Department of Education and the IRS.
Yeah.
You can't
And the
shut.
FBI.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Like the FBI has its issues, but we do kind of need the FBI.
Yeah.
Okay, Queen.
And like parts of the Department of Education have issues, but like
We
it
do
doesn't
kind of need the Department of Education.
yeah.
That's like saying, okay, the current political system, the current political system doesn't work great for us. Let's shut it down and rebuild.
That's like when somebody was joking they were gonna run on changing the electoral college. That was like their main thing. They were like, "Yep, we're gonna change it." It's like I don't remember who it was, but I'm pretty sure it was like 100% a joke because it was somebody who did end up running. But like that was their big thing, and I was like, you can't just like erase something that's been like used for a long time.
Okay.
Like I understand changing things within, but you can't just eliminate them.
Hmm. I love rebuild from scratch when necessary,
Or when required.
when required.
So right after you demolish them
Hmm.
and realize our country is falling apart.
Okay, moving on. Harry Johnson, who looks like Gilbert Godfrey. He looks like he talks like Gilbert Godfrey. Am I right? He looks like
Yeah.
Bernie Sanders, and he looks like he talks like Gilbert Godfrey. Harry,
Oh,
who is a businessman from Bloomfield Hills, Michigan. Previous campaigns, none. Offices held, none aged 75. He went to the University of Illinois at Champaign-Urbana. That sounds like a party school. And went to University of Detroit. What a weird place for you to go coming from Illinois. Sorry, that was an odd place for him to go. Okay. He wants to cut 2 cents of every dollar in federal discretionary spending to end inflation and solve the debt crisis. Is that how you solve the debt crisis?
I don't know. I'm not a businessman
I don't know.
or a
I don't.
businesswoman.
He wants to dismantle the Department of Education. What is with these? I do see his sounded better
Yeah.
because he's been like, you know what? We're gonna slowly we're gonna slowly be like, hey, these guys are on their way out. We'll throw them a little party, get some Costco white cake, maybe a little tub of ice cream, maybe some Cool Whip. We'll have a little party hats, and we'll say bye with
Like,
Rama.
don't get me wrong, there's definitely issues with the Department of Education, but I don't like his sounds a little bit like it's going to be a slower process, but I'm like, instead of demolishing it, it needs to be fixed with it.
My favorite part is you being like, there's definitely issues within the Department of Education. Me, who is homeschooled, my entire family is homeschooled. I plan on homeschooling my kids.
You know,
You
my,
know.
my dad wasn't homeschooled. He went to school.
Um, and his last one is to pardon Trump. Does
What?
Trump need to be
Why
pardoned?
are we running on this?
Does Trump need to be pardoned? I'm pretty sure if he needed to be pardoned, he couldn't run.
Well, because, like,
I think, okay, he declared this in March 3rd, and Ramaswamy declared this February 21st. So this was before Trump's trial. This is like when there was going trial.
yeah,
Okay.
so that makes.
Still. Okay, next up. Conservative talk radio host Larry Elder, who declared April 20th, 2023. So he just had his 1 month anniversary. Larry Elder is 71. I remember when I was reading through this earlier that he was a favorite of mine. He is 71. He is from Los Angeles, California, where he still lives today. He held no previous presidential campaigns and no previous offices. And he went to Brown University to get a Bachelor's of Arts, and he went to University of Michigan to get his law degree, which I remembered when I looked at this article a couple days ago, and I thought that is very odd.
It was a very downgrading.
So, like, when you think about it, there are the true to pull out your Blair Waldorf from Gossip Girl. There are the true Ivy Leagues, which is Yale, Princeton, Harvard. And then there's the step down, which is Stanford, Brown, and Columbia. And so he is in one of the hardest, like Brown, even though it is not, even though it's not technically like the top three, is not an easy school to get into. And the fact that instead of going to like Stanford, he went to University of Michigan. And I'm not saying University of Michigan is a bad school, but I would say it is a step down.
Yeah.
Like the next step down, as in the very good state school law school. I just think that's funny. Larry, prioritize. Like, I feel like you could have gone to Brown and then you could have gone to like Columbia's law school. But okay. Larry is going to secure the southern border by investing in physical barriers and bolstering border patrol resources. Did he just try to say building a wall without building a wall?
He did. Get some physical barriers, aka a wall.
He's going to combat China by keeping the Pentagon focused on national defense, not left-wing social experimentation, asserting American dominance in the South China Sea, and reassuring our Pacific allies, minimizing our reliance on Chinese manufacturing. Yeah, that's a great thing to run on. That's a good thing. Larry, you and Nikki should run together. That'd be a fun. Ooh,
that would.
With a black man and a woman, they'd be unstoppable.
Yeah.
What could the left say? What could the left say?
They would be like the white person. 3, 2, 1. White supremacists.
White supremacists. And this finally is to promote school choice. See how he says promote school choice and not dismantle the Department of Education and the
or abolish it.
And the IRS and the CIA.
So the CIA wasn't on there. It was
Like that's
FBI.
when he runs for re-election.
Yes.
Okay. Asa Hutchinson, the former governor of Arkansas, that is a made-up title. Arkansas does not exist. He is 72. He went to Bentonville, Arkansas. He's from Bentonville, Arkansas, and now he lives in Rogers, Arkansas. He has not previously campaigned for president, and he held governor of Arkansas from 2015 to 2023. He went to Bob Jones University, which sounds made up, to get his Bachelor of Arts, and he went to University of Arkansas to get his law degree, which means his law degree does in fact not exist. He plans to reduce the civilian workforce by 10%.
What?
He plans to reduce the federal civilian workforce by 10%. Don't run on that. That's not a great thing to run on. I think that if I had a better understanding of how economics in the job force worked, I'd probably be like, this is great. But me, as someone who pays attention to politics, feels like that sounds like a bad thing. So people who don't pay attention and see that you're running on that probably would think it's a bad thing.
Yeah.
Expand computer science education to every grade in high school to help America better compete with China. What an odd thing to run on.
As a former software development student, why?
I think he wants to be a school, like run for school board.
That's what. Yeah, that sounds like a school board thing.
This is giving very local government. Maybe you should have stayed the governor of Arkansas.
Yeah.
Convene a commission to assure the future of Social Security and he is going to be a good candidate, because I do not think that he understands that. I do not think that he is marketing himself well enough to the younger demographic, and I do not think he properly understands that we are becoming more and more willing to vote.
Uh-huh.
And we're showing up more, in the way that he's marketing himself sounds like he's marketing himself towards the older demographic.
Yeah. Which, like, obviously you want to, but you gotta find the balance between the two.
And
Because you want to get votes from everyone.
yeah. And he would sign a federal abortion ban that includes exceptions, has not specified how many weeks into a pregnancy he would support a ban. As governor, he signed into law a near total ban, with an exception only for the life of the mother, while saying he still personally supported additional exceptions. Yeah. I don't like you. Just in general. Also, Arkansas doesn't exist, so like all of the positions.
Also, that abortion ban in Arkansas, I can't even say Arkansas, just confused me.
That really confused me.
He signed a near total ban with exception for only life of mother. Oh, but then why did he personally support additional exceptions but then didn't sign that into law if he's technically
I think probably the bill that he got across his desk was everything except for ectopic pregnancies.
Uh-huh.
And it would be, I feel like he just signed it because he didn't want to send it back to them to
Yeah.
that, because yeah. Okay. U.S. Senator from South Carolina, Tim Scott. Tim Scott says,
Why all the South Carolina people?
Tim Scott is 57 years old, from North Charleston, South Carolina, and he's currently a resident of Charleston, South Carolina. So he went from north and went to the middle. He has not previously ran for president, and he has held the U.S. Senator of South Carolina from 2013 to president. And look out, because Nikki Haley would not let you be senator for that long. And he's a U.S. representative from the South Carolina's 1st District from 2011 to 2013. So he has been a federal, I guess, he's held federal office for about 12 years. His campus, and so he went to he has an education in Charleston Southern University, Bachelor's of Science. So he is running on the sign the most conservative pro-life legislation that Congress sends him, but would not specify how many weeks into pregnancy he would support a ban. Does he realize that it's what an odd thing to
Do
say?
they know how politics work?
No. Queen, you've been in office you've held federal office since 2013, and that's the best 2011, and that's the best way you could explain that. He will also fully fund the construction of the wall, physical barriers. He will fully fund the construction of the wall at the southern border and reinstate Title 42 to combat the fentanyl crisis and end sanctuary cities. He will also boost domestic manufacturing, increase employment, and revamp the education system by empowering parents.
Those are such odd ones to link together.
Kim, what do you mean empowering parents?
I guess, like, just getting them more involved, maybe? Because right now there's a lot of parents that just, like, step back and are like, okay, and yeah, they're teaching my kid that, but if I just, like, try to break or, like, tell them that's wrong when they get home, it's fine. Or, I don't know.
Okay. Ronald McDonald DeSantis, who is the mascot for the largest fast food corporation in the entire world. But when he's not doing that, he is the governor of Florida.
And Allison's just making things up now. Other than that, he is, in fact, the governor of Florida. That is the only correct thing in that statement.
He is 44. He is from Jacksonville, Florida. He is a resident of Tallahassee, Florida. He has no previous presidential election campaigns. Offices held are governor of Florida from 2019 to president, and he is U.S. representative from Florida's 6th district from 2013 to 2018. He went to Yale University where he got a bachelor's of arts, and he got his law degree from Harvard University. So Ramaswamy did the opposite. He went to Harvard for his bachelor's of arts and got his law degree at Yale. I just thought that's a funny thing to point out. Campaign positions. Bring back the McRib and breakfast all day.
Again, not part of McDonald's.
Encourage Congress to take up nationwide school choice legislation. Support the 6-week abortion ban he signed into law in his state. That includes law exceptions.
Want to try again?
Let me try this again. And I also have a thought. For this Congress to take up nation's school choice legislation, I think it should be up to the states. I don't want it to be a federal issue.
Abortion?
No. But yeah, abortion is currently up to the states.
Okay.
The school choice stuff.
Oh, I was like, I literally whatchamacallit, zoned out, and then I was confused where you
were at. Okay. Support the 6-week abortion ban. He signed into law in a state that includes exceptions for rape and incest up to 15 weeks. He has not taken up a position on whether the U.S. should send more military assistance or weapons to Ukraine. Why would they mention that? That's such a random thing to mention.
It is, because no one else they mentioned that.
And he wants to declare a national emergency to mobilize more resources to the southern border and construct the border wall.
Well, the physical barriers.
What the physical barriers.
He wants to build an actual wall, not a physical barrier.
All of these, I'm really liking Nikki Haley, with Larry Elder coming in on second place.
Yeah.
The physical barriers thing is sending me. But
Did he think? Okay, here's this. Did he like think if he said physical borders, he could get more, or physical barriers, he could get more votes because he didn't say, I'm gonna build the wall? But yeah, no, I just feel like that's like
Mhm.
either him trying to distance himself from what Trump said or him trying to gain more votes by not saying building the wall, that he's just gonna put up some barriers.
So that is who confirmed is running. There's a high chance that Mike Pence will be running, but I don't actually think it will end up happening. And there's a chance that Doug Burgum, who is the governor of North Dakota, might be running. And then they have a couple other ones like John Bolton, who was the national security advisor for Trump. Chris Christie, who was the governor of New Jersey. Is Chris Christie not an actor? Okay, sorry, he looks so familiar. Chris Sununu is the governor of New Hampshire. Kristi Noem, who's the governor of South Dakota. You're right about these South Dakotas. Liz Cheney is considering running, and Glenn Youngkin. And Frances Suarez, who is the mayor of Miami.
That's such a rant. They either all have no political background, or he's like, yeah, I'm a mayor, I'm gonna just skip to president. Which
Mm-hmm.
the ones that are all running and have no political background, I'm like, obviously you have to start somewhere, but it seems kind of odd to go straight to president.
But Trump didn't have a political background.
True. But like,
But you also don't want, I think it's hard to find because you don't want like career politicians like Biden and Hillary, but you also
yeah,
want people who don't understand how our government works. Some of these
like
Republicans are kind of showing that they don't understand how our government works.
like Vivek Ramaswamy.
Ramaswamy,
Ramaswamy.
Ramaswamy, who is like barely over the age to
Yeah,
be
because 35 is the age, he's 37.
queen. He's so
Like, I am 100% for younger presidents. I don't think we should have presidents in office that are 80, can't even function
But I
half the
don't
time.
think you needed to stand on their tippy toes to get to the to make it look like they were the right height to get on the ride.
Yeah, I I think they need to be younger, but not like young.
Yeah. As for the Democrats, Joe Biden, the current president of the United States, is running. Joe Biden, who is 80 years old, is from Scranton, Pennsylvania, and currently resides in Washington, D.C. He ran for president in 1988, 2008, and 2020. He has held the 46th president of the United States from 2021 to present. He's also the 47th vice president of the United States from 2009 to 2017, and he was a U.S. senator from Delaware, from 1973 to 2009. So he has been in office since 1973.
So the other day, I saw a video. His presidency is closer, or no, his birthday, like the day he was born, is closer to Abraham Lincoln's presidency than his own,
Hmm.
like
That hurt my brain.
by a
Yeah.
couple years. But yeah, I'm like, that says a lot.
He got his Bachelor of Arts from the University of Delaware and his law degree from Syracuse University. I did not pronounce that right, but I don't know how to pronounce that. His campaign
Syracuse,
position, Syracuse.
Syracuse. Nope, I
His
didn't say
his camp
Syracuse.
His campaign position is to keep ruining our country. No, it's to protect Social Security and Medicare, to cap the cost of insulin at $35 a month for all Americans, to veto a national abortion ban if one makes it through Congress. Okay.
For the 100th time.
It is no longer a federal issue. If you want to stop abortion, start focusing on your states, y'all. We're making this too hard on ourselves.
Can we collectively send some messages to politicians and be like, hey, like, not being disrespectful in any way, but I do believe it is a state issue now.
Am I being gaslit? Am I wrong? Is this not a state issue now?
I'm 100% sure it's a state issue.
Okay. He also wants to protect democracy and ensure that the nation's traditions, including open elections, are allowed to remain. We do not have a tradition of open elections. We do not have a tradition of open elections. And he's saying he wants to protect our nation's traditions. Also, this is from NBC, and they use quite possibly the worst pictures of each of the Republican, and then they got like, except for Nikki Haley, who was just stunning.
Yeah.
But they got like a very nice smiling picture of him. Okay, never mind. They really did Robert. They did Rob. They did Rob some dirty on that one. Okay, never mind. Okay. And then he's going to continue to provide aid and assistance to Ukraine in an effort to keep Russian aggression at bay. Do not run on that. And he's going to make the wealthiest and the biggest corporations begin to pay their fair share with a billionaire minimum tax, close tax loopholes, and quadruple the tax on corporate stock buybacks to encourage long-term investments instead. Ensure that anyone making under $400,000 a year won't see a tax increase. That's a big bracket of people. That's a lot of people that you're not increasing the taxes for, and I don't believe that.
I don't believe that.
Oh,
even if you told me it was under 200,000, I still wouldn't.
Oh my gosh. This next person, Calista. Marianne Williamson, author and spiritual advisor. By the way, this segment has gone on so much longer than I thought it was, but I'm having so much fun right now.
It's quite entertaining.
This is just the episode. Age 70, birthplace Houston, Texas, residence Los Angeles, California. Previous presidential campaigns 2020, offices held, none, education not applicable. Not applicable.
Queen. She has education?
She has no education. She graduated high school and said, I'm done. Well, she's an author and a spiritual advisor.
Yeah. Also, I don't remember her running in 2020. She clearly didn't make it very far.
Do you know how many Democrats ran in 2020, though? Do you not remember that they literally had to split the Democrat debates into two because there were so many running?
Her
campaign positions is to, I feel like she speaks like Professor Trelawney from Harry Potter, is to vigorously resist any effort to restrict, limit, or diminish the reproductive rights and freedoms granted by Roe v. Wade, Queen, Dobbs v. Jackson. Really, Dobbs v. Jackson, Roe v. Wade is not applicable anymore. To declare a national emergency around the gun violence epidemic and eliminate the sale of assault rifles and semi-automatic weapons, ban bump stocks and high-capacity magazines, and 3D printing of firearms. Do they 3D print guns?
Yeah.
Okay.
But, can anyone define an assault rifle?
What is the difference between an assault rifle and a not assault rifle?
Well, AR, like an AR-15, they immediately go to assault rifle, and that is not what it is. AR, I can't remember. It's like
animal. Raffici.
No. It's shoot.
Marianne, I hope you get the Democratic nomination.
It'll be quite easy to win against her.
The exact reason that I truly wished with all of my heart that Elizabeth Warren had gotten the Democratic nomination.
So AR stands for Armalite rifle, and they call it assault rifle, and that is not what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And more handguns kill people than rifles.
I
digress. More like shootings, like in Chicago and stuff, are by handguns by regular civilians who aren't actually supposed to have guns because they're usually criminals. If you're shooting you're usually a criminal who has obtained a gun that you're not supposed to have.
Unless you're Allison, who just does it to make herself feel happy. Sometimes I shoot fish in a barrel.
And so today is the day that I just banned Allison from the podcast.
Banned Allison from the podcast? That would mean you would have to be stuck editing the podcast. Do you really want to edit the podcast?
I would figure it out. But yes, I would be stuck editing since you do 3, 2, 1. You do all the editing.
I don't know editing. I do enjoy it, but for the past 3 weeks, I've not wanted to edit at all. Okay. Legalize cannabis and psychedelics used for recreational and medical purposes expunge past convictions. You know what? That's fair. I don't know how I feel about psychedelics, but I agree with cannabis. I still stand by that I don't think anyone should be in jail for possession or selling of weed. I just think it's a stupid thing, and literally screw you, Kamala, because Kamala is the number one for that's what Kamala's known for, is putting people away for a very long time for it. And then when she was running for president, she was getting all these podcasts being like, I used to smoke weed in college and listen to Snoop Dogg, and she'd start talking in a fake black voice, and it would piss me off. I truly I hate Kamala so much. Okay. And then her last one is reach 100% of renewable energy and dramatically reduce CO2 carbon emissions by 2035 or earlier.
Stop running on fake issues.
Robert F. Kennedy Jr. activist. They should have put a nepotism baby there, because I think that would have been so much more funny. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is the youngest Democrat running at age 69.
We have 37-year-olds and we have 69.
We're the party of old white men. We're the party of old white men. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is from Washington, D.C., and he currently lives in Los Angeles, California. He ran in 1988 and 2008. What is with him in these 20-year gaps?
Well, Biden did that too.
Yes, but this is odd. He went to he went to Harvard University, where he got his Bachelor of Arts, and then what is with people in these downgrades? He went to University of Michigan for his law degree,
or University of Virginia
for his law degree, and then Pace University for his LLM. What on earth is an LLM?
I don't know.
I'm sorry. What is an LLM?
Masters of Law.
Queen, if you get your law degree, I don't think you need a master's of law. What an odd thing to go to school for.
Said, I want to spend more money on school.
Well, he is a Kennedy. I don't think that money is an issue.
Exactly.
If you're grand,
he's like, you know what? College was so fun. Let me get my master's in law after already getting a bachelor's and a law degree.
If your grandpappy was Grace's favorite president, I don't think you're worth that money.
Grace's favorite president, but she knows nothing about him other than how he died.
Yes, he knows almost every detail of how she died. Okay. And he wants to dismantle the censorship industrial complex in which big tech censors, deplatforms, shadow bans, and suppresses any person or opinion the government asks them to. Crap. If he runs, if he gets the Democratic vote, he's gonna do so well.
Yeah.
Transform the police, train them in de-escalation and mediation. I've heard that as meditation. I was like, you should be asking Marianne about this one. Mediation skills and partner them with neighborhood organizations. Significantly drop the level of chronic disease in our children. How do you do that? Oh, Kennedy has blamed childhood vaccines for autism and lead the way towards national reconciliation and takes racial healing seriously through a program of targeted community repair.
His campaign is so weird because some of them lean more like to the right and then others lean way left. So he's just like this weird in between of doesn't know which political party he actually wants to run as.
Yes, but that makes him such a he's such an easily marketable candidate. He
Yeah.
If the left does not completely destroy him for not being one of the psycho, let's transition every single kid, a 5-year-old, a sexual candidates, then
Yeah.
he would do really, really well.
Yeah. It was just
Robert,
like
if I was a Democrat, I'd vote for you. I'm just letting you know that. They did do you dirty with this picture. They have a decent picture of Marianne. They have a great picture of Biden. And then they did do you dirty with this picture. You look so orange. And your hands just look so boxy.
Yeah, they just chose some really odd pictures for this article. I don't know why we went from talking about the candidates to
Really doing a deep dive.
talking about their photos. Ruled out. Ted Cruz has ruled out.
Yeah.
Rick Scott, Josh Hawley, Mike Pompeo.
Also, why is there so much information on the Republicans, but not enough information on not any information on the Democrats?
Well, the Democrats don't have many people running because they're really running with
Trump
Joe
and
Biden's gonna win.
Joe. Yeah.
They're really running on that re-election, and I'm like, I think. So here's the thing. Most likely will not make it through another term.
No. And so they're really what they're running on is Kamala as our next president. And
can we immigrate to another country? Don't know what country,
I don't
but
immigrate to another country because I feel like even though Kamala technically was on this planet first, I do feel I have more value as a person than the Wicked Witch of freaking wherever she's from. I hate Kamala Harris.
heard her fake laugh.
Hear this. Hear this. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Considering one of the Republican nominee, would you be open to him coming in as someone's running mate?
As one of the Republican running mates?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe?
I think if the Senate wasn't still Republican, I would be all for it.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. I feel like if he did, it might. I don't know. You know what are you seeing where I'm coming from? Yeah.
Yeah, I see.
I don't know. I'm low-key vibing with this dude. He, I would eat some gelato with him.
Okay.
You know, it's hard to believe, for one, how much editing I'm gonna have to do in this section.
Yeah,
The length of this episode, and two, that we actually do have a main topic for this week.
we do. That was not the main topic.
That was not the main topic. I did not expect that to take that long, but it was quite fun.
It was entertaining.
It was
And
very
I'm
entertaining.
surprised
Mhm.
we didn't have more opinions.
No, because almost all of them are running on stupid things. Like, I'm sorry. Like, if we as Republicans want to take back the White House, then we need to like step up our game because we're running on ridiculous things.
And we need to
And
not run on abortion.
we need to not run on abortion because we're pushing it. We are pushing it, and it's not something that we need to be run on. It should not be what is in the forefront of people's thoughts. And
Because you're
people.
also gonna lose
Mhm.
some of the younger votes because you say that. Or
I am.
some of the people who are kind of like
Mhm.
on the edge of where they stand. But yeah, it's also like, yes, I think abortion is a very important topic, but we gave it back to the state as far as I know and aware.
I
But apparently the presidential candidates don't know that.
feel gaslit. Like I truly feel I don't even know anymore. If someone would reach out to me and explain it to me, I would appreciate it. I thought I knew, and now I feel like as if I don't know anymore.
Yeah, I don't
Also,
know.
NBC, get better pictures of your presidential candidates.
They really said, let me take like middle school Photoshop class. I don't know why I said middle school, but
Mhm.
like somebody who first time photoshopping. They're like, this is a good image. I could like crop out the person and I can make it work. And then they just copy and paste the image onto the screen.
Main topic of the week. Memorial Day is on Monday. We're supposed to wear red, white, and blue at work. Memorial Day is on Monday, in which we are celebrating the soldiers who have fallen and given and sacrificed their lives for our country. But we are right now. We actually are talking about the ones who did. We're talking about this week. We wanted to talk about our veterans and just kind of the history regarding how our country has treated our veterans and like how it is now because
Uh-huh.
it's like actually quite sad like thinking about how much like we kind of touched on this at the end of last week's episode how like the percentage of the veterans that end up in the street and how much of the homeless they make up and like all the healthcare issues and stuff. So that's kind of a topic we want to touch on this week. Honestly, like I do have some veterans in my family, but I don't know it like a lot about it. So I did learn quite a lot by researching this stuff, and I found a lot of it quite interesting. And yeah, also like this is not surprising, but I did think it's quite interesting that like a lot of the Republicans have been like the backbone of the like push for veterans' rights when I was looking at the history of this.
Mm-hmm.
Including Abraham Lincoln? I was confused. I just confused myself.
That's
I
Grace's second favorite president.
set
I don't know why she's obsessed with presidents who were assassinated.
starting out the history of veterans' rights. It actually goes all the way back to that's the wrong date. That is not the right date. Hold on a second. I put 1963, but that is not right. It's very much not right. 1636 is what I meant. And I put 1963. So it goes all the way back to 1636 when the Pilgrims of Philomath colony were at war with the Pequot Indians. And the Pilgrims actually passed a law that would require the colony to actually take care of disabled soldiers. And so when they flash forward about 100 years, and the Continental Congress of 1776 actually voted to provide pensions to disabled soldiers who fought in the Revolutionary War. So this kind of like throughout the years, I'm kind of like showing like some of the legislation and stuff that went into place on a federal level before we actually got the Department of Veterans Affairs. So in 1811, the federal government authorized the United States Naval Asylum in Philadelphia, which ended up being the first federal facility to provide institutional care for disabled and elderly veterans. And I believe that the facility is still going to this day. Across the years, more and more of these began to appear, especially specifically following the Civil War. And so the post-Civil War is when a lot of the so there's essentially like three main agencies that were created by the time of the First World War. And so, and like these were created kind of post-Civil War, and then were kind of fully established once we got to the First World War. But in 1917, when the U.S. entered World War I, Congress began establishing a new veterans benefit system, and in the 1920s, three different federal agencies were created. So there's the Veterans Bureau, the Bureau of Pensions of the Interior Department, and the National Home for Disabled and Volunteer Soldiers. So the Veterans Bureau is at its like core is essentially what we know as the Department of Veterans Affairs to this day. So the Veterans Bureau came from the mind of Republican President Warren G. Harding, who had taken up veterans benefits as his campaign position. Under his leadership, Congress passed the SWEET Act, which is named after the senator who came up with the bill, and it created the Veterans Bureau. So the Veterans Bureau was actually and then the first director of the Veterans Bureau was decorated war veteran Charles R. Forbes. And it was created to combine and fix the problems of three separate agencies, which was the Bureau of Risk Insurance. So it was where the veterans would go to get their insurance and compensation and then the U.S. Public Health Service, which is where they would get like medical and hospital care, and then the Federal Board of Vocational Education, which regarded rehabilitation, education, and job training. And so those all kind of combined into under the Veterans Bureau. So then there's the Pension Bureau of Self-Examiners. And let me tell you something, Calista. I read the page for what this is 5 times, and I still have no idea what the Pension Bureau of Special Examiners does. I truly don't know. I read it 5 times, and my brain just can't figure it out. And so I wrote. It eventually joined in. It eventually combined with the Veterans Bureau then. And so then there's the National Home for the Disabled Volunteer Soldiers. Volunteers and soldiers. And this one's actually pretty cool because it's kind of a story of feminism. So we get to know Delphine Baker, who was a volunteer union nurse in Chicago and St. Louis, would transport supplies from her city to nearby hospitals. And so she kind of started off in Chicago and St. Louis and then and then she ended up kind of expanding, and she went to New York and did it there, and was like working on like helping provide medical care for these soldiers who were coming back from fighting in the war, and all these veterans and stuff. And so then as her efforts expanded, she kind of gathered she started a petition which gathered national attention and eventually became eventually the Congress established the the National Home for Disabled Volunteer Soldiers for post-Civil War care for Union soldiers. And so the first home was opened in 1866 in Toe Springs, Maine. And then there was another one that was in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And then there's a third one that was in Dayton, Ohio. And that one was essentially ran by a woman named Emma Miller. And so she had lost her husband in the Civil War and then worked with the U.S. Sanitary Commission. She died in 1940. And so she was the matron there, and then she kind of worked her way up and was like the head director and was like the highest she could be within that branch, and she was the only woman ever to do it. And then she died in 1914 with full military honors, and I believe she's the only citizen to die with only citizen to be granted full military honors.
Wow.
So that's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Anyways, so there's a lot of like individual legislation that was passed in between there, but kind of skipping ahead, in 1930, Congress consolidated all three of these agencies into their own bureaus under the umbrella of the Veterans Administration, aka the Department of Veterans Affairs. And currently Secretary Dennis R. McDonough sits at the head of the Department of the Veterans Affairs. So there's a little history for you. Kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Obviously, there are a lot of issues and stuff, but it's kind of interesting to hear where it came from. Like, I feel like veterans, like helping out our veterans and stuff, feels like such a new concept within like post like Vietnam War, but it actually dates all the way back to the founding of our country. Anyhow,
Yeah.
so as for right now, one of the things that we specifically wanted to talk about is like healthcare and stuff. So that's according to the actual like U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs website, they do cover, essentially they should cover like basic care. So health exams, which now they've written including gender specific exams, and then health education, immunization against infectious diseases, counseling on genetic diseases, surgeries, medical treatments, kidney dialysis, acute care, specialized care, urgent or emergency care at some VA facilities, and then urgent care for injuries and illnesses that need attention right away but aren't life-threatening at urgent care locations that are part of our contracted network. Sorry, that made no sense. Okay, urgent care for injuries and illnesses that need attention right away but aren't life-threatening at urgent care locations that are part of contracted networks. Mental health services to treat certain issues like post-traumatic stress disorder, military sexual trauma, depression, and substance use programs, assisted living and home health care depending on your needs and income, as well as space in the programs, and prescription written or approved by a VA doctor. Despite all of that, like veterans have notoriously been failed by our healthcare system, and a lot of them actually ended up on the streets, which is really sad. A really good TV show that I totally recommend is The Night Shift. It takes place in, I believe, San Antonio, Texas. It's a doctor show, but a lot of the characters on there are veterans that fought in Afghanistan and are trauma surgeons. And then the show itself does a lot of veterans outreach and then gives a lot of like awareness to it. And one of my actual favorite episodes of the show is directed, and in all the extras and like half the crew is all veterans on specifically that episode. It is a very and they do a really good job of handling different political issues and like showing all sides of it very equally and having each character kind of take a distinct stance on it. So it's not favoring one side, but it's very much showing all sides, and then they tell like a lot of really unique stories. So if you're looking for an interesting doctor show that isn't Grey's Anatomy, The Night Shift, very good. Anywho, on to Callista.
Okay. So housing and homelessness within the veteran population. I don't know why I said it like that, but we're going with it.
Quite odd.
It was an odd way to say it, but you know. So veteran homelessness is very high, as like we've mentioned. And it's like really sad, but
Mm.
so I have some numbers. Let's see if I can butcher these numbers or if I can successfully say them.
I'm gonna say half of them are gonna be right, and half of them you're gonna butcher.
Well, I actually only have one set of numbers. I don't know. So we'll see. Okay, as of January 2022, there was 33,136 veterans who were experiencing homelessness in the US. And this is according to the Department of Housing, the US Department of Veteran Affairs, and the US Integr nope, in Interagency Council on Homelessness. I don't know why I couldn't say interagency. I said I was going to butcher the numbers and then I butchered the words.
Callista, I
Uh-huh.
like I don't know what happened, but my brain just forgot that I was talking to someone and not watching a TV show. And I literally thought, I'm tired, I'm going to get up and go to bed. And I almost just got up and walked off.
Am I not boring?
I just like almost just got up and walked out of the room.
I would have been like Allison, and then he would have been like, why is the TV show saying my name? And like call you, and I'm like, hey, we were in the middle of recording. I'm like, you might want to come back.
Just want to let you know what my head was thinking.
Okay. This is a 11% drop from 2020, which doesn't seem like a large number, but I mean, it's a good start, I guess. Like, it's so sad because like these people fought for our freedoms and they end up on the street most of the time. Like,
Said that I truly think the going into the military could be the worst form of punishment that I've ever thought of in my entire life. Like the fact that they make you get up early every day and run, and then they yell like they're mean to you. It's not like you run and they go, "Good job, go have some mashed potatoes." Like they mean to you, and then
I'm
you.
very much,
Mhm.
I don't think women should be in the military, not because I'm a woman, but because, like, we're not made for that.
Like I do think that I do like think that women should be in the military. Like I never would be like women should not be in the military, but I do not personally feel I am made for that, given that I did complain about walking around Seattle.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like that's one of the things that's being pushed right now is like, well, not so much now. Now we've got to have gender inclusivity. Inclusive. Yeah,
Think about
that's our
like
big thing.
I mean like I am for like I think about like how many like female pilots there are and stuff and like
Yeah,
stuff like that. Like do I think are there even there's no female what's the really hard one? Navy SEALs. There's no female Navy SEALs,
I don't think so.
right? Like I don't think a woman should be like a Navy SEAL, but like I don't know.
I don't know.
I,
I think it depends on the branch of the military.
mhm.
I personally wouldn't make it through basic training, so they would
No,
they would laugh at me the first day. They would be like, "You want to do what?"
My mom has told me that she thinks I should be a Marine. I said,
Uh-huh.
Marine? I would die the first day.
Yeah. You're like, I would even make it to combat.
They're not. Look, I just can't get over that I have to run 6 miles and then they're not nice to you. They yell at you and they say mean things to you, and then you have to eat bad food and then go back and sleep on a plank of wood and wake up 2 hours later, and then they try to waterboard you.
Which, okay. Anyways, the number in 2020 was 37,252 homeless veterans.
Mhm.
Overall, this represents a 55.3% reduction since 2010. So in 10 years, it went down 55%. Which, putting it in that perspective, that number sounds a lot better than 11%.
It shows that for a while it definitely was a priority for our country, and we've like when we make things a priority and we want to get things done, we can get things done. Like we can help
Yes.
solve a crisis. Like it has to be a priority for things to get things done, and like maybe like I'm not like there's some things where we just throw money at it and it's not doing anything and it's just going into sinkhole. No matter how much money you throw at it, nothing's gonna get done about it.
Uh-huh.
Mhm. The Department of Education. However, I think that with this, like, I think that it so many people cared so much about it that that's why I got that.
Yeah.
Not saying that the veterans system, like, it's perfect, but I am saying that, like, this shows that there's an effort to make a change and to help these people.
Uh-huh. Okay, and then the last thing I was gonna say in this point is if you are a veteran or know someone who is a veteran who is homeless or might become homeless, you can call the National Call Center for Homeless Veterans at 877 4AID-VET. That is 877-424-3838. And that is
Well,
a 24/7 helpline in case you, in the middle of the night, you need some help. Much like when Allison wanted to find out how easy it would be to order an abortion pill. If you haven't, you should go listen to our Truth About Chemical Abortion episode after you finish this episode, obviously. I did debate on calling and see what help they would provide. Just like I'm not a veteran, but I was just curious, like at what point they would be like, "Oh, you're not a veteran."
yeah. What help would they provide?
And okay, that was everything on that section. Now, so some more like
Well,
current veteran rights, because Allison talked about the history of veteran rights. This is more current. If I can find the article, let's try this again. So, what the Biden Harris administration has done to support veteran families or veterans, not necessarily their families. So, this is a report that was put out November 11th, 2022, which was Veterans Day last year. They've been delivering timely and high qualified benefits and service to the veterans, addressing toxin exposures because toxic exposures, not toxin, because well, they're probably exposed to a lot, so they do a lot with the VA healthcare to screen for toxic
I know that's been
chemicals.
an issue. I've heard about some things about that in the last couple years about like class
Mhm.
action lawsuits regarding like chemical testings and stuff, but
Uh-huh.
within
Okay. They've also been helping to reduce veteran suicide, which is an important issue. They've been working to end veteran homelessness, which they've claimed the 11% drop. Oh, wait, yeah, I guess that makes sense. My brain didn't think Biden's presidency started in 2020. So I was like, how did they get to claim all 11% between 20 and 2023? But that is his whole presidency, so technically they do get to claim that whole thing. They're taking some extra action to support women veterans. Apparently, the men veterans, nah, they don't need extra help.
What kind of extra help? What does this help entail?
Increased cancer screenings. And then you go down a little bit farther. Over the past year, they've been expanding their access to reproductive health services. The Biden administration has been removing barriers to services for LGBTQ plus veterans.
Just in time.
You know, they really got to include all those people.
Straight allies over here.
Yeah. I always randomly think about it, but like, I'm like, if somebody, like, a different country looks at, say Russia, looks at our military, looks at the ads we put out, looks at our current military leaders, they could just laugh at us. And then connecting veterans with more resources and training and employment, which I think that is really important because that transition from like going to war and then like coming back and having to do a normal job and like I feel like that would be a hard transition.
Especially people who are in places like Afghanistan, like in the Middle East and stuff. Like,
yeah,
we're like stationed in like Georgia, I think it'll be fine. But like
when you actually get deployed overseas and are actually fighting,
and like you were bringing back like legitimate trauma and stuff, that would transition back into civilian life. I think it's so important that there are people there that understand and are willing to help and are making that a priority.
the Biden administration also claims to be supporting children living with wounded, ill, or injured service members and veterans. They're ending hunger and promoting healthier living. Don't know why they just like slid that one in there. And then finally, they're helping to heal trauma.
Just vague.
Just vague. Because then it goes into a bunch of something about arts, and I'm a little confused what they're talking about because it has nothing to do with healing trauma.
They said your son's going to be in this production of Fiddler Over the Roof. It should cure your PTSD.
Yeah, because it talks about like the arts and like they funded these 26 organizations for visual arts, craft, dance, creative writing, theater, and music to improve engagement and outcomes for veterans.
I just meant like
I just like maybe where is the scientific study that this heals trauma? Okay, that's everything for this week's topic.
Well, we need to have like a proper conclusion to that. Calista and I are both so tired. I'm so sorry. This was supposed to be our chemical abortion episode of this month, and then we spent 99% of it talking about the presidential candidates, but I don't regret it. Let's crawl our way through this last bit. Brittany Griner returned to the court this week as the center for the Phoenix Mercury. I'm sorry, this is the pop culture news of the week, and had the biggest shock happen before the game even started. For the first time in years, she actually stood for the national anthem. So before if you don't remember, Brittany Griner was detained when traveling with the USA team in Russia because she had cannabis oil stored in vape canisters, and she was sentenced to like prison and like manual labor in Russia for 10 years. So then in the fall of this last year, they traded her for the Merchant of Death, which a lot of people
World's worst trade.
which a lot of people are very unhappy about, especially because one of the things is she was a very she was very anti-America and would refuse to stand for the national anthem, and actually was considering quitting playing until they stopped playing the national anthem before at the basketball games, at the WNBA games, and so that should never be played, and would stand, and so she and her teammates would stay in the locker room while they played it and did not come out until afterwards. Anyways, she has sung a different song now, and in an article from the Deadline reports on her, so this article from the Deadline has her post game interview, and you know what, some of the things she has said actually, like, I she's getting a lot of hate online right now because they're like, "Oh, you hypocrite, you hypocrite." But I truly do feel like she's just learned from her situation, and she
Uh-huh.
has changed her tune based on what she learned. And like, I think that is something that we should like be like people should look up to and prioritize more, and be like happy that she learned and has a new respect for the country, rather than putting her down for what she did beforehand. Because
Mhm.
obviously, like, after being stuck in prison, in a Russian prison for however many months, she has a better, like she said, she describes it as being stuck in a literal cage. Like, oh, I
Yeah,
feel like I'm gonna joke about this in I think our Earth Day episode when I talked about her memoir, but like, after I'll read some of the quotes from this interview, I am actually genuinely interested in reading what she has to say. So she says, "You have the right to protest, the right to be able to speak out, question, challenge, and do all these things. What I went through and everything, it just means a little bit more to me now. So I want to be able to stand. I was literally in a cage and could not stand the way I wanted to." She continues to explain that just being able to hear my national anthem, see my flag, I definitely want to stand. Now that everyone now that everybody will not stand or not come out, I totally support them 100%. That's her right as an American in this great country. I don't know, like, I can't, like, I'm like, I have a newfound respect for her. I can't have the gay being like, I was very much like, we made a mistake with this, and like, do I the same thing I said in our other episode. Do I think it was the best possible outcome of that negotiation? No. Am I happy the Merchant of Death is free? No. But do I think that there is a good story there in her being very anti-America, and then going through what she did, and coming back and changing her tune and admitting to it, and saying like, we should all be grateful for what we have, because we truly don't understand what we have until it's taken away. Yes.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of I Don't Want to Talk About. Okay, can you hear the train? Hold on a second. This train is driving me insane.
I can't hear the train.
Yes, but all I can hear is the train right now.
Okay.
If you come at 6:30 tomorrow morning, I'm going to run down through downtown Phoenix, and I'm going to hop into
Downtown Phoenix?
downtown Independence, and I'm going to hop into the conductor's thing of the train, and I'm going to strangle you because why do you have to honk your horn so many times when it's 1:43 a.m.? Why?
I heard it that time.
Okay, let's try this again. Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of I Don't Want to Talk About Politics. This episode took an odd turn from what we thought it was going to be, but I hope that y'all had fun listening to us roast these candidates. I don't know. I don't think there's really I don't think there's really a best option from each side right now. There's no one that's an obvious front runner to me from either side. And so I think it'll be an interesting election season. And I'm very excited to go into it with you, Calista. I think that we will have very much fun. And it truly is the countdown till the August Republican debate because I am so excited now. I will personally fund Ramasamya, or whatever his name is, from not dropping out until then because I just want to hear him get decimated by these other Republicans.
Yeah.
Make sure to check us out on Instagram at IDWTap_podcast. And also check out our personal Instagrams at ally.joy173 and
at Calista J1776.
In the description, you can always check out our references, leave us a voice message, which we might play on an episode, and send us an email. Also, make sure to vote in the poll. I put they're on the bottom of every week's episode, and then they last until the next episode's date. So make sure you go and vote. Calista, what will we be talking about next week?
Next week, we'll be going full rainbow. You heard us. It's Pride Month, and we're drinking multicolored Kool-Aid. Confused? Intrigued? Sounds slightly off? Good. Because we'll actually be discussing the toxic LGBTQ plus community and what's collectively become our least favorite month of the year.
One of the funny things that you posted on your I think it was either your Instagram or your Snapchat story the other day was that it does not become a month. It's gone through May. It is like May and June and April is now Pride Month.
Yeah, it was my Instagram. I was like, it's no longer a month.
It's not a month. No. It's Women's History Month, which is the start of it. And then it ends like right before 4th of July, because 4th of July is what they use to complain about our country. Yeah. Next week it's gonna be fun. Probably a little bit more of a silly episode. But I think it's gonna be fun. Just kinda get to rant and make fun of the very toxic LGBTQ plus community, because when they're not hating on the rest of the world, they're self-destructing it on themselves.
Yes.
Okay. Finally, we want to say thank you to anyone who is currently serving or has served in the United States Armed Forces, and to the families of those who have loved ones who laid down their lives for our country. We want to wish you a very special Memorial Day. I forgot to write an ending, so would you like to end the episode?
That is everything. I'm tired. I want to go to bed.
Today, thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next week, but I guess you could end it on that.
Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next week.